When did you realize that your childhood was not normal? I realized my childhood wasn't normal the day I found out other kids had birthday parties. Like, actual parties with friends, balloons, cake, and presents. That hit me hard because growing up, my birthdays were just another day. No celebrations, no invites, no happy birthday cheers. It never occurred to me that this was strange until one day in school when a classmate started talking about her party last weekend. At first, I thought maybe it was just my family being low-key or something. But as I started listening, I noticed I was the only kid who never had a party. That's when the sinking feeling hit. Something about my childhood was very different, and not in a good way. Growing up, my parents were always busy, stressed, and seemed to keep a lot to themselves. We had the basics, a roof, food, clothes, but emotional stuff, support, celebrations, that just wasn't part of the picture. When I asked about birthdays, my mom would just shrug and say, "It's just another day." School was tough, not because of the usual things like homework or tests, but because I was constantly the odd one out. Kids would talk about parties they were invited to, sleepovers, or family trips, none of which I ever experienced. I was happy with my little world, but inside, I felt invisible and a little lonely. One day in 5th grade, my friend invited me to her birthday party. I was excited, but also terrified because I had no idea what to expect. When I got there were decorations everywhere, games, music, and a ton of kids laughing and playing. I remember feeling out of place and wondering why I'd never been part of something like this. After that day, I started noticing more things: the absence of family photos on the walls, the lack of stories about holidays or fun moments, and the strange silence around the things that were supposed to be happy memories. My parents never talked about their own childhoods either. Everything felt locked away. It wasn't until high school that I started asking questions. I confided in a counselor about how isolated I felt and how weird it was that my family never celebrated or connected emotionally. The counselor gently explained that while some families express love and joy through celebrations and talking openly, others don't, and that doesn't make my experience less valid, just different. That was a relief, but also a wake-up call. I realized I'd spent so long trying to convince myself my childhood was normal because it was all I knew, but it wasn't. It was a quiet, lonely childhood, shaped by emotional distance and a lack of connection. Now, as an adult, I'm learning to fill in those missing pieces. I throw my own birthday parties, I'm open about my feelings, and I'm trying to build a life that feels joyful and full, things I never got as a kid. Looking back, I get why my parents were the way they were. Maybe their own childhoods were like mine, silent and empty, but I'm determined to break that cycle. TLDR, I realized my childhood wasn't normal when I found out other kids had birthday parties and I didn't. Growing up without celebrations or emotional connection shaped a lonely childhood, but now I'm learning to create the joy I miss.